The Supreme Court rules on the tussle over the authentic National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. President Tinubu's proclamation of state of emergency in Rivers State, ratified by both chambers of the National Assembly, as former Vice President Atiku Abubakar leads dissenting voices on the matter. Still on political update today, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan takes a new dimension as the case surrounding her takes a new dimension as the constitutional means to recall her begins. We look at all these in the program and issues in the past week, of course, in Rivers State as well. This is Political Update. I'm Fisayo Gofui. Welcome. The Supreme Court has nullified the verdicts of both the Court of Appeal and the Federal High Court, which sacked Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The five-member panel of the Apex Court held that the issue of who is the National Secretary of the PDP's PDP borders on internal affairs of the political party, which is not justifiable, thereby making both the intermediate and trial courts to lack jurisdiction over the matter. Justice Jamila Tukuru, who delivered the lead judgment of the Apex Court, consequently struck out the judgment of the trial court delivered in October 2024 and also set aside the majority judgment of the Court of Appeal, which had in December affirmed the sack of Anyanwu as PDP's National Secretary. In the light of this, the Supreme Court subsequently affirmed the minority judgment of the Appellate Court delivered by the Justice Joseph Eyo Ekanem, which had nullified the judgment of the trial court on account of lack of jurisdiction. In addition, the Apex Court held that the plaintiff, Anyanwu Emmanuel, who had initiated the suit at the trial court, lacked the necessary legal standing to do so, since it did not show how it was affected by who the National Secretary of the party is in the matter. Now, in the course of the week, Senate approved President Tinubu's proclamation of the state of emergency in Rivers State, in line with provisions of Section 305 of the Constitution. The approval came after an executive session.
Pursuant to Order 135 of our rules, that the Senate now goes into a closed session.
Resolutions reached during the closed session were adopted by a voice vote.
The Senate invokes the powers conferred on it by Section 305, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and approve the proclamation of state of emergency declared by Mr. President in Rivers State of Nigeria. The Senate further directs that the declaration of the state of emergency stated in the proclamation document and the mandate of Mr. President to review, and hereby mandates the President to review and even to terminate the state of emergency at any given time, but not later than 6 months. The Senate further resolved that Section 11, subsection 4 be invoked, providing the National Assembly the authority to set up a joint ad hoc committee of both chambers to oversight the administration of Rivers State henceforth. The Senate further resolved that a committee to reconcile the warring factions in Rivers State should consist of eminent Nigerians. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the closed session?
The approval by the Senate fulfills the constitutional provision.
Similarly, the House of Representatives approved the declaration of state of emergency for Rivers State, along with the 6-month suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy and all elected members of the State Assembly. As announced by President Bola Tinubu, this followed a unanimous voice vote in favor of the presidential proclamation.
Speaker, this is a constitutional.
Yes,
Can we do a head count, Mr. Speaker?
So that Nigerians will know that we are not circumventing the Constitution.
I want the House to note that today's plenary is being attended by 243 members based on our attendance registers.
That settled lawmakers proceeded to make amendments to the presidential proclamation of emergency rule in Rivers State, including allowing the National Assembly to legislate for the state during the period in line with Section 11 of the Constitution.
I listened to Mr. President's proclamation where he said that the sole administrator will be reporting to the Federal Executive Council. Mr. Speaker, I disagree, with that position and insist that the provision of Section 11.4 of the Constitution should take precedence over that.
That a committee of eminent Nigerians be set up to mediate, to ensure that there is peace in Rivers State.
And I believe that the responsibility we have now is how do we recreate the platform for Rivers to move forward.
But the president can terminate, review the state of emergency at any time within the period, but not later than 6 months.
All amendments were passed, paving the way for a voice vote.
Are we ready for the question? Are we ready? Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye. Those in support of this request from Mr. President as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it.
A coalition of opposition political leaders in the country, led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, said that the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State is a subversion of democracy. This was at a media briefing in Abuja.
Gathered here are majorly opposition leaders comprising of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, representatives of other parties including 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, former Governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai,
And internal affairs of the Rivers State.
The coalition believed that the prevailing situation in Rivers State is at variance with the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended.
It's not only the responsibility of the opposition to defend democracy, it's the responsibility of all Nigerians, all of you, to defend democracy.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has called for calm and promised to stand with Governor Sim Fubara and the people of Rivers State over the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State.
Section 180 of the Constitution is clear as to the tenure of a state governor.
On the revocation of its 2 secretariat plots in Abuja, the opposition party expressed shock that the FCT minister Nyesom Wike carried out the revocation despite the existence of a court case in which the minister is a party. Also reacting to the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room at a media briefing in Abuja believed that the removal of a governor and state legislators is a grave violation of the principles of separation of powers and the democratic rights of the people of Rivers State, who freely elected their leaders.
The Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room remains committed to defending democracy and holding the rule of law.
Situation Room, however, called for calm in the face of prevailing circumstances.
All right, joining us now on the program from Port Harcourt, from our Port Harcourt studios, to give more insight to some of the issues on the front burner in that state is a constitutional lawyer, Isaiah Kanwi. Thank you for joining us, and I understand that you've been in a station for about a couple of hours now, so you've spent some time with us. Thank you very much for giving us this time and this opportunity to speak with you.
Me on studio.
Into it, the state of emergency as proclaimed by President Tinubu in Rivers State has entered its third day with sole administrator Ibok Ibasfuli now assuming position to take charge for the time being, as it were. How would you appraise the situation at the moment, especially since you've come from town to Choba, where our station is there?
Situation is calm, businesses, activities going on freely and peacefully, no problem. I walked into your studio from my place to this studio
without any problem.
The National Assembly, that is the Senate and the House of Assembly, saying that the National Assembly and of course the House of Representatives did say that they expect that people in your state within this time would try to resolve this issue and, of course, make up some committee of eminent persons to be a part of this, to drive this reconciliation. So perhaps you are part of those who are seeing perhaps probably even a shorter timeline if the political actors and the, the antagonists of before become, come to the table to dialogue to see the way forward for your state.
Some stakeholders, like the Elders Forum of Rivers State, got into the political imbroglio for some time ago, but it never solved any problem because it seems the problem that blew up was politically or self-motivated, and it was hard to crack into. And so we expected that there could have been some, extension or inclusion of other stakeholders in this discourse for the peace, but it never came. That was why we are saying that in this river state, the current problem that has brewed up, that has snowballed into this declaration of state of emergency, could and should involve at least other stakeholders this time around in order to sustain the necessary peace that the state requires to go on with. The Federal Republic of Nigeria should endeavor to include other stakeholders like the youth wing, the religious body, the women wing, the students, the academia, and other stakeholders or civil society to ensure that peace is restored in Rivers State. It should not be other, politicians or former leaders of Rivers State. That aristocracy system of government should not be infused into democracy. This is where we get it wrong in the nascent democracy like this, and where separations of powers supposed to reign and rule of law supposed to be adhered to. We are not seeing these things here played in Rivers State. It seems Rivers State is put as a experimental test for what is going on, power play or power struggle to get power, or maybe supremacy problem or hegemony. I think there should be something to be done in Rivers State. The National Assembly have tried to endorse the president's state of emergency declaration. However, the president should rescind this state of emergency, because when you look at it from two angles, when we journey into the legal waters, you find out that a lot of things are there to grapple with. Like, for instance, the constitutionality of the declaration of state of emergency. We want to look at it as not called for and not constitutional. With all due respect to Mr. President, Section 305, subsection 1 and subsection 2, the subparagraph thereunder have not provided any provisions for the Federal Republic of Nigeria to do away or to sack, suspend an elected governor of a state.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Kanwi.
The deputy governor of a state or the members of the State House of Assemblies.
I understand, Mr. Kanwi, but you have not spoken to my questions fully, because if you notice, we have... can you listen to me a little bit? If you remember what we said at the beginning, just for you to make a reaction, that's why I played some of those video clips, including the vice president. Everybody has made their contributions, even on the floor of the House. We've seen divergent views on this. But what I'm saying, since you are there to provide a solution in terms of even getting society on an even keel, the actors themselves, getting them on the table, what would you say would be your, for instance, input in terms, because we've seen a recurring issue, even in your state, we've had this kind of imbroglio, not necessarily as heated as this, but in the past, it seems to be recurring at times, these confrontations, we get to see them like a cycle. But how do you break this cycle so that it doesn't continue to reoccur? Yes, there's an issue, your personal interest in all this, but how do we stop this cycle in the first place?
Thank you. Now, the panacea to what we are currently observing or experiencing is this. Mr. President, as the chief executive officer of this country, and the Senate President as the chief lawmaker, leading the two chambers, being the Senate and the Federal House of Representatives, should come in a synergy to see how they can convoke a meeting between the governor, the sacked governor, and the sacked deputy governor, and the speaker and the members of the River State House of Assemblies on one side. They also should help us to invite the minister of Federal Capital Territory, who has been widely suspected to be one of the sponsors or kingpin in this political imbroglio that has led to this state of emergency. With all due respect, they should come together and also invite other stakeholders, such as the religious leaders. It shouldn't be only River State. Other religious leaders, we still have them, both Muslim and Christians. Leaders, they should invite them into the discourse, because one of the cornerstones of democracy is peace and dialogue, and negotiations and agreement and all that. Transparency, accountability, name them. So the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should do as we have said, invite other stakeholders, even the Nigerian Bar Association, and all the stakeholders, critical stakeholders, should come into to the table and discuss and see how it can be resolved from this, the governor on his side, the House of Assembly on their own side, and the Federal Capital Minister, His Excellency, Chief E.N. Wike, with all the CON. So I think when this is done, you will see that there will be some palliative, peace palliatives in this River State. And we will grow, and 2027 will pass. Where Fubara has gone wrong, they should tell him out. Where the State House of Assembly has gone wrong, they should also tell them out. Because nobody is a sacred cow in democracy. This is a democracy that was hard-gotten. It was not easy to restore democracy out of the hands of the military that were held Nigerian bound in their hegemony. It was not easy to attain this height of democracy today. Former President Muhammadu Buhari acknowledged and recognized the effort of late Chief Ganifa Wemi by according him GCON, just because of his suffering and his sacrifice to ensure Nigeria enjoys democracy.
All right, so Mr. Kanwi.
We shouldn't allow anything military to come on.
Mr. Kanwi, thank you very much, Mr. Kanwi. Time is not our friend, but I promise that I will bring you back. Since you told us that, you came in relative pay, you came to the studio and everything was on an even keel when you came in. And the key things that you have noted as far as the way forward, the path to peace in your state, we appreciate. We will get you back in the studio, hopefully, in the course of the next few weeks, especially when we see that there's a path to return, to peace, especially when we talk about the so-called warring parties in your state that have made governance quite difficult in the past few months. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Isaiah Kanwi from Port Harcourt. He is a constitutional lawyer, and he has been watching closely developments in that state and been contributing to our programs in our Port Harcourt Center. Many thanks to you. Moving on now, very quickly, the vice presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Yusuf Buhari, in 2023, that is, alongside the party's governorship candidates in Kano, including local government contestants and members of the working committee, have defected to the All Progressives Congress. They said their defection was motivated by successes being recorded by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Deputy President of the Senate, Barau Jibrin, while addressing the defectors, said the attempt by some politicians to use the SDP as a platform to compete against the APC in 2027 is a mission in futility.
After 2 years, we have started to see that these economic policies are yielding some fruits. The foreign exchange is beginning to stabilize, food prices are coming down, insecurity is being addressed by our military, by our brave armed forces. Our phones have continued to ring. A lot of people that are within the fold of the SDP are interested in following us into the APC.
From today onwards, we are now part and parcel of our former family, the All Progressive Congress, APC. Those who are in the party are now moving away from the party to APC. So that party is going to be empty. So the idea is dead on arrival. We call on those who are in other parties that APC is one of us. It is a movement to transform Nigeria.
Kudos to the Deputy Senate President for your efforts to bring these important and vibrant politicians to Abuja to honor. We are here to honor them as joining our party, APC.
APC is a party, when you come, there's no discrimination. As soon as you come in, you become a member of us. We have equal rights. You are free to contest your elections. You are free to interact with others. You are free to enjoy the privileges that is accrued as a member of All Progressives Congress.
Political update today in Kogi Central. The lingering crisis between Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has taken a new turn as our constituents begin the process of recalling her. However, the People's Democratic Party in the Senatorial District condemns the process.
Constituents began the recall process by gathering signatures for petition to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Some of the senators' constituents say they are on ground to sign the petition because the senatorial district cannot afford to be left out within the 6 months period that she serves her suspension.
We decided not to, keep the vacuum vacant for that 6 months, and that is the reason why we gathered here to call her back home.
We cannot afford a situation whereby the Kogi West is coming to give back to what they sent them for. Then Kogi East is going back to their various constituencies to go and deliver the message they sent for. Then our Kogi Central was left vacant.
We are actually here to call off our sister because what we asked her to go to the Senate House to do for us is not doing it well.
However, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Abdurrahman Badamusi, who is a former member of the House of Representatives, dismissed the recall process.
If the signature they are collecting, well, we're waiting for them because I feel that this is not how to collect signatures. I think it's an APC parade that they are doing up and down.
Presentation of a petition signed by registered voters in the district to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission is the first stage of the recall process.
That's been political updates for today. We'll be back again on Tuesday for another installment of the continuing saga and drama on the national political scene, especially events unfolding in different parts of the country. We'll be keeping you up to date to that. Between now and then, please play your politics for the greater good, and you know where to get fresh political stories and good perspectives. It's on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, where you get the best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye.
those